Next up on Murfreesboro Storytellers, we originate from Old Fort Golf Club in Murfreesboro. Tracy Wilkins and Marty McCurry are our special guests, so stay tuned. Welcome to Murfreesboro Storyteller. Today we're located at the Old Fort Golf Club in Murfreesboro. We have Tracy Wilkins, who is Director of Golf. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And Marty McCurry, who is the Head Golf Professional. Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have both of you and to talk about this wonderful recreational facility. How did it get started, and when did it get started, Tracy?
Well, Old Fort Golf Club opened in August of 1985.
Okay.
And it was a result of a lot of hard work of some citizens, Mr. Bill Allen and Ed Phillips, if you remember Mr. Phillips.
Very well.
And Dalton Stroop and Shirley Haley, kind of that bunch. Golf had kind of made a little bit of a turn where the old Murfreesboro Country Club had closed and opportunities at the VA weren't there anymore, and there really wasn't a place to play. So they got together and made a presentation to council and talked to them about the need for golf and the citizens, and it kind of bloomed out of that, and we have what we have today, and it's something really special that we're proud of.
A great asset. How long have you been here?
I've been here for a little over 27 years now. I came in January of '87, about a year and a few months after it had opened, and been blessed to have been here ever since.
Yeah, it's a wonderful course. Marty, how long? Tell us your background. How long have you been
I actually grew up in Giles County, came to MTSU in 1987. I've worked here at the golf course since 1990. Tracy actually hired me at the VA course part-time when I was in college. Brought me over, and I've been full-time with the city for 24 years here at the golf course. It's been a great thing for me and my family.
Yeah, wonderful. Now, this is a part of the Parks and Recreation Department, is that correct?
Actually, it started out as part of Parks and Recreation, but the golf department is its own standalone department, and for a long time we were under a separate enterprise fund or whatever. We're under the general fund like Parks and Rec now, but of course we're brother and sister, I guess, but we are a separate department.
And do you have a board of directors that
we have a golf commission
that
Mr. Allen is still the chairman of, and we have I think there's 7 on there, 6 members and 1 representation from council, and we actually do have an ex officio from recreation that comes to our meetings, D. Jernigan, and we have a member, Mr. Allen, that's ex officio at the Parks and Rec, because with the Greenway and things that have gone around and things that we all touch, even though we're separate departments, we work pretty closely together.
And we said golf club. Is there a membership in the club?
There is not. It's just a daily fee golf course. We don't have annual memberships or anything like. It's open to the public. Anybody's welcome at any time, and we just do daily fee. And originally it was named Old Fort Golf Club. I wasn't here then when it was done, but we actually called it Old Fort Golf Course for a while, and then somebody pulled something out and said the actual name was Old Fort Golf Club, so we've been back to that original name ever since, but that's just the name that they came up with to start with.
What are your hours of operation, weather permitting?
Daylight to dark. We're open every day of the year, 7 days a week, except Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. We close those 3 days, and we're open in season, which is now through November, from 7 o'clock till dark, and then in the off-season months we're open from 8 to dark. So as the time goes, in the winter we're here till 5:30. In the summer we're here till 9 o'clock. So pretty long.
What's the volume of playing that you get here? Do you have any measure of that, or how busy it stays?
Yeah, the golf in general has kind of been on a little bit of decline over the last few years, but we're still in the area. Our representation is high compared to most places, so we're still in the mid 35,000 range, in the mid 30s on number of rounds per year here. So it's still, comparatively speaking, pretty good, but we're not where we were in the early 90s.
So golf generally has declined? Is that what you're saying?
The golf number of golfers across the country is pretty stagnant, but what they did is back in the early 90s to early 2000s is they kind of put a really big push on the National Golf Foundation to build golf courses, and they actually overbuilt a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And there's just a lot more courses. This is the 4th year in a row, I think, that there's been more golf courses closed than open in the history of golf. So it's just kind of the market correcting itself a little bit. So golf hasn't grown the way they had projected, but the amount of places to play has, so it's kind of thinned everything out a little bit. Society has changed a little bit, and we're having to change our thinking a little bit about how to get people interested in golf and playing golf. Everybody's about speed, 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 and time, and there's so many ways for people to spend their dollars now. I mean, just since the golf course is open, the racetrack was built, the Titans are in town, the Predators, and you got all these different discretionary dollars that people have to decide where they're going to spend them, and it's taken a hit in a lot of different areas, but it's just something that you have to be able to change as it changes, and being tied with the city a little bit sometimes makes that a little bit more difficult, but they have allowed us to kind of get outside the box of what we did maybe 15, 20 years ago to start getting into social media and some other different things that we can start addressing the demographic, I guess, that we need to have to play.
Do a lot more young people get interested in golf these days, or is it too slow for them?
That's actually our demographic that's the toughest, the 25 to 40-year-old. Of course, the economy's been a little tough, especially on that demographic. And also, everybody wants everything right now, and they want to be able to go and do. And golf's meant to be somewhat relaxing, and it takes a little bit of time to do. And there's other things that people have kind of gotten into, so we're kind of trying to address certain ways to maybe adjust how people see golf, or maybe they play 9 holes instead of 18, or just different ideas of trying to attract that demographic a little bit.
Marty, do you give instruction, or
Yes, sir. Both of us do. Yes,
the
sir.
staff that does instruction?
Yes, sir.
Somebody wants to learn how to play golf?
Yes, sir.
Or learn how to play better?
Yeah, Tracy and I are both PGA professionals. We teach, and we also have another PGA professional on staff here that all he does is teach. So I have a lot of avenues for people that want to learn how to play to come out and teach them the game.
Tell us about the facilities. How many acres you have here?
There's about 175 acres here. The majority of it, I guess the way that it came about, I think it was back in the 70s when the land was purchased to be a recreational type facility, but it's all in the floodplain, and a big portion of it was in the floodway. Of course, all that was reworked some years back, but we're still in the floodplain and stuff, so there's not really a whole lot of things that could go into your building or whatever. So, it came about that way, and in 175 acres, we've tried to change some of the acreage into natural areas and different things. When we had the renovation in '04, being in the floodplain, you can't haul dirt in or take dirt away too much because you change all those things, but you can move dirt around. So we have some areas where we had to find some dirt to do some different things. So we have some areas on the golf course that we made into natural areas or pits where we dug some dirt out because we had to use it to move different places. So a little bit of challenge there, because there's not a whole lot of dirt in Rutherford County to just come by in the truckloads. So
that's true.
we had to find it best way we could.
Marty, I believe you mentioned you started working at the VA course.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about the relationship that you folks have with the Veterans Administration. I know they've had a 9-hole course out there for many, many years at the Alvin C. York VA Medical Center. They
have, and I guess to go back just a little bit with Mr. Allen and Bill Allen and that bunch, when they were Murfreesboro Country Club kind of went away, then they kind of moved out to the VA, and it was called the VORC. I'm not exactly what all that stood for, but volunteer something recreational. And they were there, and they had 300 or 400 people, I think, that played there or were quote members there, and it was they went in and did a few little improvements or whatever, but somewhere along the line the VA took it back over, so they didn't have a place to play. Therefore, Old Fort kind of came about from that. Right after I came here in January of '87, I think in June of '87, which would put it 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road from when all that happened originally, they came to the city and wanted to, I think the city and the county, I'm not sure I'm getting my facts right, but I think they went to the county first. They didn't want it, and then they said maybe the city. So city took it over as a lease from them for like $1 to be able to just operate it. And it allows not only an additional outlet for or opportunity for the citizens to play, but we work closely with them as far as letting the patients and stuff play, and it's using it for any rehab type of programs that they have. And it's been kind of an up and down, I guess, relationship. It's kind of been constant, but there's been times when we thought we were going to get a long-term lease to be able to invest some money and to kind of make some improvements and to do some things, and that's where the up and down comes, because I think we've had 1-year leases, 2 and 3, but at the same time we've had a short 30-day clause in there where either group could get out, and since how it had happened already at one time where they took it back, there's just not been the opportunity to make the big investment like we had hoped to. And over 27 years, our ideas of what to do with that type of facility has obviously changed. When golf was big and booming, there was a thought that there maybe was going to be a full-fledged another 18-hole golf course built there. Well, that's obviously changed the way things are now, and but there's still opportunity, and the market that it hits, it has its own unique place in it. I mean, there's such a cool thing to me about the VA in the fact that it's really kind of old school. It's really simple golf. It's you don't have all the pressures and the pushes and all the maybe the big hazards and things. It's a good place for people to walk and enjoy, and it's just a totally different piece of golf that if it wasn't there, we just wouldn't have that opportunity. I don't know of any other place like it around.
Now you have a new addition that I understand is very exciting called Bloomfield Links.
Bloomfield Links.
Tell us where that is and what that's about.
It's located just off the property here at Old Fort. It's an old demolition landfill that sits between the railroad track, Lido Creek, and Stones River. It's kind of just off a medical center also, so it kind of just sits back in a hole there. If anybody's familiar with the new water tower that Water and Sewer built, it's a 1.5 million gallon storage tank for the reuse effluent water. It's on the site, but a little bit further down. And you park here at Old Fort, and there's a little path to the greenway, and you just kind of wind your way around there. It takes 5 or 6 minutes to walk there, and we're real excited. And it's kind of one of those facilities that probably would be viewed more of a recreational type introduction. I guess we keep calling it our T-ball of golf. It's you know, golf's a tough sport. It's tough to learn. It takes time, and so we've had this dream of doing things for kids and doing things a little bit different and introducing people to golf. And the way this came about, that it had been a capped landfill, sat there for 20 years, and the fact that it was a demolition landfill, there's not quite the same restrictions on. After that 20 years, they said, I think everything's happened that's going to happen, so you know, you can do something like this with it. So the timing of it and everything was great. We're excited about being able to introduce it. The concept of what we're trying to do, we're using bigger holes, shorter flags, our programming, everything's going to be a little bit different. The cost to use it's going to be really affordable for hopefully everyone, and it's going to take time to grow also, but we're wanting to be able to introduce golf to everyone and let everyone have the opportunity to at least be introduced to it. Now whether they pick it up or not would be for them, but we're going to use that not just to introduce golf, but kind of have it. We have a heart for kids, and we have our own. Mine are grown and gone. His are right in the middle of all the activity, but teaching life skills along with that. I want to be able to teach career opportunities through it, not only that you can be a golf professional, but you can get into the turf care side of it to learn how to grow the grass and all that goes into there. We have bookkeeping, accounting, food and beverage, tournament management. So there's a lot of different opportunities, and we want to be able to introduce the kids to those types of things, life skills. And golf's kind of a unique sport. We talk about it a lot, but every other sport has a referee or an umpire throwing flags, calling penalties, and pointing people out. In golf, you regulate yourself.
You're your own regulator.
You're your own regulator. So there's a lot of responsibility, integrity, and honesty, and things like that go into it, that you're not trying to get away with something. You're actually trying to do everything above board so that even if somebody doesn't see it, you tell them that you've violated a rule or something and go from there. So there's some pretty neat life lessons that we can push through there.
And it's a 6-hole course, is that right, Marty?
Yes, sir. 6 holes, and we don't like to call it a par 3 course. The holes would equate to that yardage, but you know, we don't really want to set a par for it. We want people to go out and play and set their personal par, you know, kind of improve upon what they started with and get better and see that improvement without having a ceiling that they have to try to reach. So it's pretty cool. It's a really unique thing.
And then as they improve, they can graduate and move on over to Old Fortton, I presume.
Well, they have opportunities. I mean, they're obviously not just going to be moving here. What our hope is growing the game is they'll play. Some of them are going to grow up to be members at the club. They're going to play at Indian Hills and Champions, all the golf courses that are around.
Yeah, not just Old Ford.
Not just Old Ford. They're not going to go. We're growing golf in general. Some of them,
that's good.
Obviously, we hope will play here, but the clientele that we get, we have a core group that probably plays here most of the time, but most of the public that we run into or get, they play, you know, all the courses to some extent.
What is your budget here for Old Ford?
The budget, right in the middle of that, so I may get mixed up on the numbers, but we're looking at about 1.5 to 1.6 million for just Old Fort Golf. It's a little over 2 for all of it.
Is it self-sustaining then?
It is not anymore. It's kind of close on operating expense.
On operating,
we try to do, especially here at Old Fort, because of the way it's set up, we try to get, and we usually get pretty close on operating expense. The VA does not quite get there either, but it gets close, but it's a little bit more affordable, a little bit more what we're trying to be able to do there. And then obviously Bloomfield's not going to be, it's going to be, well, it may be. It's set up different because we're trying to keep fees and everything there lower, but we're actually kind of doing a push through private business and individuals that want to make donations and things to help not only the course succeed, but also the programming and things that we have to do. And we've had some interest there verbally. We've had some local business people that contributed. I mentioned Mr. Pirtle earlier about helping us with the dirt. We also had some, our architect that donated some of his time. We were fortunate enough to get a grant from a foundation that, from out of town actually, for $150,000 that basically that pretty much paid for the construction of that facility. So we're still missing a building, a place to go to the bathroom, get out of the storms, store some equipment, things like that. So we still got a ways to go there, but anybody's interested in supporting us that way, it's all, because it's set up for our junior fund and things, it's all tax deductible and it goes through a different avenue to do that. So we get pretty close. I think we're probably looking at somewhere between 0 to 100,000, maybe 200,000 every now and then, if depending on the weather and things like that, to be able to support all the facilities. But one of the big things that we're proud of is that we get either to or really close to that number just through the fees and things that we collect. But what we're excited about too over the years with the high school championships, the college MTSU ladies women's team comes in, and this will be their 4th or 5th year. They bring in 16 teams from across the Mid-South that come in. We've had the USGA Junior National Qualifier for 26 years. Those are kids from all across the state and South, and we even have some from different countries. They come here to play. And we had a meeting yesterday that we're excited about. It looks like we have a really strong possibility of landing the Southern Athletic Conference, both men's and women's golf championships for the spring. So those people coming in, staying in our hotels,
brings in tourism
dollars and restaurants, you know, all the things. So we're proud to be a part of everything that Murfreesboro offers. That even though if you just looked at our budget and the bottom line, we may get close, come up a little short. We feel like our contribution to what we bring in and what we add to making the whole pie Murfreesboro, that it's definitely a positive impact on the economy.
I didn't mean to get you totally off of Bloomfield Bloomfield Links, excuse me. A fascinating story about how you came about the name. Can you tell us about that?
It is that property, that project, and everything is just something we've talked about, prayed about, just hoped for and wished for. And when it all started coming about, we put together a little committee of some of our juniors that played to try to come up with names and different things, and they came up with some great names like Battle Creek and the Little Fortress and all these cool little names, and everybody liked them, but we just couldn't settle on one. And one day I was just sitting in my office and I heard one of our regular golfers, his name's Roy Davenport Jr. His dad, Roy Davenport, I don't know if you knew him, he worked for us for a while, and we surely miss him, but he was talking about a milk bottle that his wife had bought at a garage sale. And how I was hearing this conversation from my office to the shop is beyond me, but and it had Bloomfield Dairies, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and it had a 4-digit phone number on it, which would put it back to the 30s or 40s.
Goes back.
Goes back. So that was kind of cool, but then as he got into the story, he said his wife was excited about it because his reaction to us too, it's a milk bottle. But come to find out, the old home place at right across 96, where the old fire training area was, and the city's actually building a pumping station on it now, water and sewer, but the farm and the dairy, the property was part of Old Fort Park, a little bit of the golf course, Fortress Rosecrans, and it butted up to Lido Creek, which the little golf course is right across Lido Creek. So now our interest got a little peaked, and then so we started going into why Bloomfield, who were the Bloomfields? We were headed towards a name. But as we got into it and found out that it wasn't in the name of the people that owned it, but we thought it had to do with the flowers, because the Bills family owned it before I think the city acquired it in the early 60s, maybe 66 or somewhere in there, 64, 5, 6. And before that, we found a picture, or the Davenports helped me find a picture. Roy's wife's name's Diane. She's kind of done most of the legwork on this, but a picture of Mrs. Bill standing in front of the house, and there was 8 acres of jonquils.
Oh, I remember those so well.
They were beautiful, and they were talking about how people would drive from miles around just to take pictures there in the spring. So there we thought the flowers were the background of Bloomfield, and kind of were. But as we went back, the people that owned it before the Bills was by the name of Ordway, and I didn't remember the name. Nobody remember, but there's an Ordway Street
I think that's
right here next to the golf course. Right. Leads down by Southland Supply and down towards there under the bridge. So we started looking into that, and the Ordway family, and one of the boys married a girl by the last name of Braun, who their family was in Nashville at the time, and they actually had named it the daughter. Braun, the girl, was a daughter of a man that came from Charleston, Virginia, before the Civil War. They had started an academy up there for young men and boys called Bloomfield Academy, and there were several different ones across the country. It was a federally funded type of thing that started. Well, when the war broke out, all young men and boys, they had to go to the war. It kind of went away after the war. Braun family moves to Nashville. He's a professor at Vanderbilt. She meets Ordway. They get together. She wanted to kind of preserve the name Bloomfield Academy, so they named their farm Bloomfield Acres, which was right across the street. So now our interest level, I mean, I'm getting chills talking about it. The history, even when we were talking to people like Mr. Allen and some others in town, nobody could remember Bloomfield Acres or the dairy. So we felt like we were kind of starting. Now we're getting into some history things. So. And even tied to that, okay, so now we figured out the Bloomfield name. Where did the flowers come from? So Mrs. Braun was supposedly on a train at some point, and back then in the day, the politicians would ride the train and go to what they call whistle stops. Stop, blow the whistle, people come out, they give their speech, 15 minutes, they move on. So at one of these whistle stops, she noticed these beautiful little jonquils, so she got a few, brought them home, started them on the farm. And from that, it grew into, actually, they sold some of them across overseas, San Francisco, Chicago, to florists. And then the Bills came along. They expanded it to the 8 acres. There were actually 27 different varieties of this flower. So then we tied the flower into the name. Okay. And so we feel like we're preserving history. We're trying to touch young people. The name Bloomfield coming from education and young men So it all just fits so perfectly, we had to go with it.
That's a wonderful story. Yeah, I love that. Marty, I understand you've become quite a hero on Facebook, or is it on
YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube, excuse me.
Well, I don't know. Hero might be a strong word, but yeah, we tried to just make golf a little more entertaining, you know, make it fun, because that's kind of what is going to bring younger people to the game. You know, they're all about social media and phones and iPads, you know, so we wanted to do something to lighten up golf a little bit. So we did a couple of video spoofs that they got some pretty good play on. We actually were on the Golf Channel, played our video, and some pretty major websites picked it up. Fox News, Fox Sports News picked it up, and Yahoo.com picked it up. So it was pretty neat.
Well, the presentation you've done as part of tournaments?
Well, we did it for our Men's Golf Association.
Oh, for the association.
We did. It was like for our banquet. It was supposed to just be contained to that, just that group, and we put it out on there, and one thing led to the other, and we're about 55,000 views, so we got quite a few people pick it up and look at it.
Can you give us a sample?
I'm not real good live, so.
Okay.
He's out of costume.
Yeah, I'm out of
too.
costume. You have to see me in costume.
So you use the costume then? Okay.
Yes, sir.
He has some. He's had some pretty unique talents as far as creativity and being able to put different spins and twists on things, and it's great for us just to be able to get out there in different avenues and different ways, and the talents that he brings to that side of it have been really interesting and really good for us.
Relationships with MTSU. You mentioned some of the activities here. How does that work?
MTSU is we think it's a vital part of what we do. We love having, especially we not only have the college teams that play here, both men and women. They use our facilities to practice and try to get better, but we have a relationship with the university that they have golf classes, and they come out here and use the facility to teach the classes. So it's an important part of what we do. We have a ladies tournament that
It's in October.
It's in October every year, that like 16 or 17 teams, like Tracy said earlier, from around the southeast come and play, and the golf course has been really pleased to have that. It's a great thing for us.
I know the Chair of Finance tournament is out here each year in September, I believe.
It is. We have the Chair of Finance is a big event with MTSU, and we work closely. Every few years we were able to have the Chamber of Commerce tournament out here too. So a lot of ties into different areas, but that's a big one with MTSU.
Now you have a nice facility here for your pro shop, your offices, even a picnic area where you can serve meals.
We do. When we do have events or tournaments out here, we have the golf shop that we're very proud of as far as being competitively priced and things, because we're just trying to. We hope all of our customers are able to afford all the latest and greatest things. So we have a shop that's stocked with that. Marty does a great job with that. We have the pavilion out back where we do have events, whether it be the chamber or the Chair of Finance or just our local events with our golf association, where we can have some things outside. But hopefully the weather's good. It would be beautiful if we had it all enclosed and inside, but we're able to accommodate quite a few events.
As we run out of time on our program, if you had one wish for Old Fort and for the golf organization operation here, what would it be?
Well, obviously to be able to grow the game a little bit more, but be able to know that we had a positive impact on just lives in general, and not just the game itself, but the people that we've built relationships with, and the people that we get to meet and greet every day. That would be mine, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I think golf teaches so many life lessons, like we talked about earlier. It's so tied in that it's great to be a part of a great game, and great to come to work here every day.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, thank you so much. This has been interesting and really so exciting about what's going on at Old Fort Golf Club. We wish you well with Bloomfield Links. Wish you every success. Tracy Wilkins, Director of Golf at Old Fort Golf Club, and Marty McCurry, Head Golf Professional. And this has been Murfreesboro Storyteller for this month.